Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to Battlefleet Gothic Armada. This is our last look at a ranked faction. We might play some more ranked later, but I wanted to get through all of them first of all. This is the Tau, the new faction. They're going to be changing, I suspect, quite a bit once the beta ends, but they're pretty strong right now. They're actually quite dominant, but you'll notice that I've been beating them quite a bit with the other factions. I don't think they're as strong as people necessarily say they are. I think that a lot of people are playing against them very, very incorrectly. A lot of people, when I'm playing as the Tau, either face them front to front with macro weapons, or they sort of try to ram them, which I don't think is necessarily... It is good against the Tau, but it's not necessarily good all the time. It's contextual. And the other thing that I tend to see them doing a lot against the Tau is just trying to use a lot of ordnance against them and kiting and running away from them. None of that's really, in my opinion, what you want to do against Tau. The Tau's DPS from their weapon batteries is not that great necessarily, but the Seeker missile damage is actually really good. So this is kind of a cheese build that I've sort of built up for ranked. We're going to get a Custodian, but we're not going to upgrade it. For auxiliary ships, we're going to get Demiurge Bastions. The reason is that the other two have battle ship upgrade costs, which is really, really bad. These can be quite useful still, the Demiurge Bastions. We're going to leave them for last, though, because we're not going to be taking them except under certain circumstances that are not too important. For our cruisers, we're going to take the Protector Telkus, just because they're vastly superior to the Protector of Warla. Even though they're virtually identical, there's practically nothing different about them. The only difference is, again, this little gun here, and in this case, like the Violas, is just outright weaker for some reason. I don't really know why. But, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take the Protector Selkub all 3 times. And what we're going to do is actually just cheese this out and take Earthcast on all of these.
Forged the tools of our empire.
Now, this is actually pretty cheesy, but I do think it's quite strong. The other option, you could take Watercast as well, but I don't think that it's quite as good. We're going to go ahead and take the Corvette, the DX4 technical drones, and the marker drones. We're not going to take the TOV. I don't think that's quite as necessary. We're going to go ahead and take the repair drone, and we're going to go ahead and take the recon beacon, and we're going to also take some of these auger probes later on. So for upgrades, I like to go for the adaptive deflectors, which are absolutely ridiculous. We're going to take upgraded shields, upgraded shield recharge. We do get 6 upgrades on these guys, which is really, really nice there. Going to take advanced cogitator links, and going to take the upgraded turrets and the seeker missiles. So this combination is actually really, really scary. You'll notice that we are missing out on the XV-46 Vanguard Void battlesuits, though, which are also really good. We're also missing out on the drone operators. We actually get drone operators on different classes of ships, but I think that 12 damage per second is plenty on these guys. I don't think they need that upgrade in particular. 12 to 15 is not a huge change. Now, we are missing out on the improved auger array, which I think would be quite good. But we end up with so many of these recon beacons in this fleet that it doesn't matter tremendously. So we're going to go ahead and do the same sort of thing here. And just being able to have like really good solid ships and making sure that it doesn't matter if your ships die, so like you can replace it with an identical one, I feel is like the way that you want to go with ranked. So I'm going to go ahead and try and take the exact same skills in the same order here. Alright. So what this does is this makes a ship that if you're fighting them front to front, because the adaptive deflector and the ridiculous shield bonus that I've given it, it's got 300 shields there and 75 armor on that shield from the front. This ship will not die if you get into a gunfight with it front to front unless you're using lances. But most lance carriers have less damage per second than the Tulku. So the Tulku with the experimental railgun is very, very good at bursting down ships if they get into a railgun versus lance fight. There are certain ships, though, that can win the broadside fight if they've got the armor-piercing rounds. The Dominator for the Empire can do it. I find some Orc ships that are set up the right way can do it. Eldar, of course, can easily do it. So there are things out there that can do this, but you never know what you're going to be up against. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. If you're up against, like, the Tau and you're playing as Chaos, you ideally don't want to be getting into close range with them. You want to be firing your lances from really long range. The accuracy fall off on these is enough that if you're doing that and firing the lances at them, you'll be out damaging them. So you just need that range there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take these. Alright, there we go. And upgrade these. There we go. Alright, for light cruisers, we're going to take nothing but Sasia. The reason is that we can't really afford the upgrades for our for the escort ships all that easily, so it's better for us to just take Sasias and just upgrade them up like they were big escorts or something like that. They're pretty weak, but they're pretty cheap as well. So these guys have different priorities here. DX for technical drones is fine. You can take the TLV, which is kind of okay, than the MV8 marker drones. For what we want to take on these guys, we want to take the repair drones as well. So you can sort of see where this is going. This fleet is very, very focused around keeping your ships together, using your ordnance cleverly, and keeping your ships repaired fully with the repair drones. So these guys can actually go ahead and take the improved auger array. They're still going to take this as well. I think that they've only got 100 shields. Like, the thing is that you can take the additional void shield generator. That's still pretty good, but it's less important to take the auxiliary shield capacitors with these guys, I find. So we're going to go ahead and take these upgrades as well. And we're going to go ahead and... why can I not take my 6th point? Oh, because we haven't gotten the favor on this guy yet. There we go.
Forged the tools of our empire.
Actually, let's go ahead and undo these so that I can do this in the proper order. Like an insane person, because I am an insane person. Alright, so I think that our upgrades are going to look like this. This just makes it a little bit easier for me to see if all my ships have the right upgrades. That's the only reason I do it like this, which is a really obsessive sort of thing, but...
The Earthcast forged the tools of our empire.
Alright, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Alright, so while this doesn't have the faster shield recharge, it does still have a pretty decent shield value of 200, making it quite tough in that front-to-front fight there. And if my opponent tries to get in close, they take a ton of damage from the Seeker missiles. My ships are really quite durable in that kind of fight there. We got good long range if they tried to long range us using the experimental railguns, and of course the fact that these ships are pretty good at long range. Their weapons are pretty decent at long range, so we can always rely on that quite a bit. And let's go ahead and continue along here. Now you can also do watercast. It's a very, very different strategy, but this is sort of the cheese strategy that I go with. This is sort of the all range cheese strategy. This is effective no matter what distance you are from the enemy, and it works in a lot of contexts. So the other one, the aircast one, or sorry, the watercast one or the aircast ones, both of those are basically cheese strats that rely heavily on one sort of strategy, one distance, but sometimes you don't get that distance, or sometimes the scenario doesn't let you do it. So, this is for the people that want to always be on top of the game there. Right. Keep forgetting to get this upgrade here.
The Earthcast forged the tools of our empire.
That sort of like pseudo-Japanese English is so hilarious to me. Anyway, there we go. And go ahead and upgrade these. Upgrade these. Upgrade these. Now you can decide what you're going to do with the last year points. You can either get an upgraded Custodian, or you can upgrade your Bastions, which are quite cheap to upgrade actually. We're still going to get the crew on our Custodian because it's still quite good, even without upgrades. And what we're going to do, I feel like upgrading the Bastions is a better option because I think that they're really situationally quite good. We take them against Orcs and Space Marines, so that's why we're taking them with the Repair Drone and the Gravity Wave Projector. Neither of them really tries to kite against you, so you don't need vision against them that much. The Gravity Wave Projector is just great if they're trying to do a ram against you or a charge against you. So we can afford to take, I think, both of these with these. And if I recall correctly, we can take everything we want here. So we just take these sort of things. We just take... I think we take this one. No, we take Advanced Cogitator Link equivalent. Or just Advanced Cogitator Links, whatever. And then we take the Seeker Missiles. So these things are designed for getting in close, punching things, while trying to zone out the enemy from getting close to your other ships there. So they're very, very good for that. Their broadside damage, unlike most house ships, is actually really strong as well. So this upgrade path, it's pretty wonky, it's pretty interesting, but it's actually quite strong. We're going to go ahead and get some upgrades and skills. Skills are cheaper on our Custodian, so we'll get those first, I think. Go ahead and get an Auger Probe. Find that this is quite good on them. And then we'll go ahead and take the that as well. So that's 400 order points there. For upgrades, we cannot afford that much, but taking this thing here is quite good. Taking this is actually quite good for this. So it leaves us 200 points left to fiddle around with something. The alternative actually is I can get rid of one of these. I don't necessarily need that. What we can do, actually, I forgot. What we want to do is actually take water cast on these guys. So I actually need to get rid of probably both of my upgrades. Does that return us 400 points, actually? Yeah, it's 400 points. What we can actually do is get rid of 2 skills here. Let's get rid of these 2. I don't think that they're quite as important, all things considered, because they're basically taking the place of this ship over here. So that's the meta there, or that's the way of things there. Then water sect this guy. I think that the water casting on that is a little bit better. Then you can go into upgrades and retake this. So that's how we're going to set it up. It took me a little while to remember how all this was done up. Tau is one of the factions that's a little bit straightforward, just because like they've got so few relevant distinctions between their ships. Like the Tulku or the Viorla. The Viorla is just so much worse than the Tulku. The Bastions are the only ones you can afford to take. The Custodian takes up way too many of your points, so you can't really take it, and as well as other things, because you know the Sasias and the Protector Tulkus in ranked are so strong, just because of the way that they're designed. Having strong ordnance, strong front-facing weapons, and strong abilities, synergies, makes them really, really tough to beat in this format, because most people either have to take one really big ship, and if you kill that, they cannot continue playing, basically, or they have to take a large fleet of small ships similar to this, but the Sasias and the Tulkus outclass most ships of their tier. And the thing is, if you took the Daliths, which I think are better and persistent, they cost a lot of renown to upgrade them plus the Niksars or the Wardens. You can upgrade either. That's 600 renown, though, which is a ton if you're playing in ranked mode. Similarly, the Custodian's much better because you can have that fully upgraded, but still take fully upgraded like Bastion Strongholds, which, you know, costs so much to upgrade here. I think that there's probably some people I've seen out there who've taken like Custodian Strongholds combinations, and like that's just all they have. It's similar to the way I play Eldar in some senses, but even more expensive. The one thing that you should never, ever, ever take in this is the Crew War Sphere, because it costs as much as the Custodian to upgrade, and it is nowhere near as good as a battle cruiser. No idea why it's priced the same sort of way. It should be the same sort of renown cost as a cruiser tier ship, or even a light cruiser tier ship. It should be, honestly, because it is so bad in a lot of situations, and it costs 100 points. So I mean, you know, that's light cruiser cost territory there, unless you're playing as orcs. All right, so this might take a little while. Let's go ahead and just cut the video, and we'll get back to you once we get a match. Alright, so we almost missed that this was a game here. So we're playing Cruiser Clash. We accidentally set ourselves up as attacker, which is actually really bad, but I'm going to go ahead and grab up, I feel like going like this sort of thing, and then 2 of these guys. So we got 1 Demiurge Bastion, 2 of the Protectors, and then 2 of the Sasias. This combo I think works really, really well against the Orcs, so we'll see how this goes. I don't like the fact that I accidentally set myself up as attacker. It kind of sucks, but oh well, it happens. So one of the nice things about this is just how durable your ships are against the kind of orc nonsense that typically shows up. It's fairly hard for them to properly do anything other than ram your ships, so that's quite a good thing there. We can also use Monthkat to reduce the enemy troop values, really quite good. I sort of like to go with this sort of setup here. I should have made the Bastion our general ship, but let's not worry about that too much there. Alright, so Sia's to the sides there. Let's go ahead and grab all these ships here. Set our torpedoes to fire. We won't automate our repair drones necessarily. So let's make sure our Niksar Dao deploys automatically as well. We got 5 ships to destroy, which is not that bad. Oh, 6. Let's see how many more this goes up to. Probably be like, you have to destroy 10 orc ships, and they're all cruisers or higher. No, they've got 6 ships, we've got 5. Let's go ahead and hit ready here. Start launching our ordnance as well.
Demiurge ship at your orders.
I should probably use hotkeys, but I'm really not good. So, all right, let's get our ships heading towards these orcs. All right, well, I mean that's some ordnance there.
The tower shall prosper.
I think I'm heading in sort of the wrong direction, but he fired at an angle that made it sort of trickier for me to tell which direction to go, but I feel like this is a good direction. Now the problem here is I can't really tell if those are... what type of torpedoes those are, in all honesty. One of the things about orcs is it's hard to tell if they're going to end up having a whole ton of extra cannons, but let's check. That's a battlecruiser, or no, is that just cruiser? Yeah, I think that's just cruiser tier, has 6. Okay, so he's got a bunch of regular tier cruisers, which not too scary or anything like that. Alright. Let's see what kind of torpedoes these are. Looks like they're boarding torpedoes, so... got a weapon damage result, I'm not too worried about that. Let's just face tank these, I think.
Honor the teachings of Viola.
Get our ships relatively close together, try and get our ships firing. What kind of weapon did we lose there? One of our ordnance launch bays, actually, so that's pretty bad. But we'll wait till this wave passes over us, and then we'll hit repair after that, so... shouldn't be too bad.
Aircraft ready for orders.
Alright, so this ship is getting the worst of this sort of boarding torpedo nonsense, but let's go ahead and hit the repair button now.
It will be so.
Still not too bad the damage here. Alright, replenishing those. And yeah, I think we're probably actually okay. Let's go ahead and launch our auger probe if we got one. I forget if we actually got one in this composition. Don't think we actually do. Boarding torpedo failure. Boarding torpedo failure. Perfect.
How may I serve the tower?
Oh, there we go.
Demia Brotherhood responding.
Identified an enemy target.
Alright, let's go ahead and focus on this thing here. Get rid of it.
Drones have identified an enemy target. Ship at your orders.
Let's do a push there.
Something to mine there.
Alright. Oh, I'm missing those shots there. Fantastic.
At your orders, Coral.
Alright, so our Niksar is here. Let's go put this on that.
Engaging enemies.
Let's go ahead and set these guys up so that they're firing correctly. Now, our ships actually deal really good damage at this sort of range here, so I'm not actually super worried about all this. Let's knock in one of these. Pop this as well. Belt armor was destroyed on that guy, which is nice. Oops, it's the wrong one. Part of what's happening here is we're dealing tons and tons of damage with our seeker drones. Alright, that's fine. I'm braced for impact. It'll do okay for me. And there goes his capital ship, there goes this ship. Yeah, it does do a plasma oversurge, so pretty damaging. Got another ship heavy damage there. But we'll have plenty of ships left over after this. This doesn't really make a huge difference to me. And I do believe that he's going to be out of anything good here at this point in time. I don't know why he did that.
Something to mine there.
But yeah, he's been taking a lot of damage. And there goes that entire fleet there. Alright, so he did take out basically 2 of our ships because one of them is in the heavy damage zone. It would have been nice if I got it bumped back up, but I don't think I'm allowed to get it bumped past the heavy damage zone with repair drones. But yeah, so we still got another bastion, so we could go double bastions. We've still got like a whole ton of Cessias. I think we still got 2 Cessias, and I think we've still got 2 of the protectors, so we could take the same composition again and not be affected. or we could go something slightly different. He had a very, very sort of run up and do damage kind of orc fleet there. Yeah, so we took damage to one protector, one Cecilia, so we're pretty okay. If it does go to game 3, though, it could be potentially interesting. Orcs tend to have high replacement ability, just because they can do lots of improvements on lots of different ships. But on the other hand, he did have the battleship, and I do think that his death dealer was upgraded, so he could have the edge as far as... I could have a major edge as far as that goes. He might not have any more upgraded ships or something like that. Alright, so my opponent does get to select the mission there. Let's see what he ends up taking. Looks like he's going for a breakthrough defense. Oh, I'm the defender. Okay. That's kind of interesting. So we're going to go ahead and pick the same composition there. Like that. And then I can take 2 Cecias again. It's just such a good composition for dealing with orcs there. Like, even when he was trying to do that sort of like Wa in Hellwoods, I got more time just because I pushed him away with the Bastion, but like, keeping information is also pretty important for Tau, just so that you can have all your ships front-facing as long as possible. If you can do that, then you're going to be in a good spot. Actually, this is a cruiser clash. He switched it. So, yeah, it's just going to be a repeat of that previous game there. I've got the exact same composition here. Going to be able to play against not his same ships. One of the things is, like, if you get screwed over and you end up having to take a whole bunch of escorts, really, really bad against this fleet. This fleet is amazing at shredding down escorts because of the Seeker missiles. I think they're probably going to nerf them. I don't know what they would do. I'm thinking that, like, what would be fair for this is they deal 1 damage for every 3 turrets, not 1 damage per turret per second. That would bring it down to more reasonable rates, I think. They do sort of eat up 2 upgrades, though, or even potentially 3, so, I mean, there's that. It is nice, though, that I'm playing in ranked, which is supposed to be a more competitive format, that my opponent is willing to stick around for the fights. It's less good that my game's crashing. Oh, nope, there we go. My opponent capitulated, okay. Well, I was just about to say, you know, kudos to my opponent for not capitulating, and then he capitulates, so that happens. Yeah, I mean, that's Tau in a nutshell for you guys. They're a really, really strong faction here. I think that right now they could do with some adjusting downwards in some senses, but you'll notice that orc player had managed to do a lot of damage to me, a lot more than I would normally expect my opponents to be able to do, although I did want to close quite close to them. You know, that sort of mentality of get rid of those torpedoes, let him get in close combat, and then he'll get shredded down by the Seeker torpedoes. So we are considered victorious, and our ELO rating will go up. Now, I've got actually multiple generals. I'm wondering what happens with my ELO rating, because I've won almost every game I've played. I think I've lost 1 round. That was where I was trying to figure out if I could actually win a stronghold attack. The answer is no. I cannot beat the attacking side of a stronghold siege, so, you know, there's that. But yeah, that's the Tau in ranked. I think that this is a really strong composition, but there are other really strong compositions with Tau. This one just happens to deal with that very, very sort of hard-hitting, aggressive style, which I think is a big problem. Like, it's what I beat that other Tau player with when I was playing as Space Marines. And I think that, you know, this fleet would beat those Space Marines really, really handily. So, yeah, that's our ranked videos for all the different factions. I'll be playing probably a little bit more ranked, just because I think it's an interesting format. But yeah, this is sort of a difference. These are sort of different ways that you can play that. Just keep in mind, like, you can't have key ships that are super, super good and important, and then have 2 other ones that you think maybe would be situationally good. You know, if you're using that sort of niche build sort of style, then you're going to end up in a lot of situations where your really good ship gets blown up, and you're forced to use one of the niche ones outside of its intended use. So when you've got 3 of the same ship here, you've got 2 of the same ship here, you've got 4 of the same ship here, it doesn't matter how many of my ships get blown up. I know this combination is solid, and it's solid in a lot of different situations, and it's just a really, really powerful combination of abilities. Because I know that, these ships can be used very, very effectively against my opponents, no matter what happens. Like, I could lose half my fleet in the first fight, I can still get into that second fight and be ready to go and be really, really powerful, and not have to worry about that. So if I caused a lot of damage to my opponent who didn't think the same way, he's got his fully upgraded battleship. He lost that fully upgraded battleship in the first fight, but took out like half my one of my bastions and like half of my light cruisers and one of my protectors or something like that, I can just go into the next game with the exact same composition. My opponent's going to be missing his battleship and possibly some of his other ones, and I'll probably easily win that game because that was a big investment of his renown. So anyway, that's ranked. I hope you found it enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.